Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Business Minds podcast powered by BeInfinite.co. On today's episode, we have a great mentor of mine, elite sales and leadership coach, Elizatbeth Mahusay. Stay tuned. Hello, everybody. Welcome back. We got our intro going strong, and now we have an even stronger speaker today, a guest today. Sorry. Elizatbeth, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I am blessed beyond measure. It's good to bring you back on the show. You were here when we first had our first season, and we'll keep going on, keep being consistent. So I wanted to bring you back because I know you have some exciting news about your social media plans and what you're doing. We watch your videos religiously over here.
Oh, awesome.
We love everything you do. So for our audience that doesn't know who you are, can you kind of tell how you serve?
Sure. So I'm a sales and leadership coach with Southwestern Consulting. We'll call that my formal title. But of course, my heart is to serve in not only encouraging people, but also challenging them to live a life that allows them to fulfill their best potential, live into the most of their potential. And so that's really my heart. And so whether that's through my podcast or through my Monday motivations that drop on YouTube every week. Of course, my husband and I also like to do Marriage Matters Monday. So there's a variety of ways that we try to be able to speak into people's lives and to encourage them in their day-to-day living.
Oh, I love it. I love everything you do.
I totally forgot my books too.
Oh, tell us about your books.
Well, I also love writing, and I've had two books formally published. They're back there. And I'm in my space because I am a very faith-driven individual.
Yeah.
And so those particular books are Bible studies. And then I'm working on a book right now based around my keynote, which is called Pick Your Path, How to Set Your Mental Autopilot on the Right Course. And you've probably seen some of my videos where I'll say, pick your path, positive mindset, negative mindset. And so the book is around that concept of we have a choice to pick a path every single moment of every single day.
Oh, wow.
And what we choose really matters.
And that's so interesting. I believe one of the most powerful, profound moments in my life is when I did realize I had a choice, no matter what the situation is. And sometimes especially when entrepreneurship, we get excited about stuff.
Yes, we do.
When something new, we get excited, and what do we want to do? Just like when we found Jesus, we get excited. We want to talk about it. We want everybody to do. But 9 times out of 10, what happens? Not everybody else is excited.
That's right.
So that can get you down. But even then, I realized, hold up, I was excited. I got excited this, and then I have this, I got this newfound vision of I can choose my path. Wow, that's crazy. I was thinking about that a long time ago. But when they get you down, when you tell everybody and they don't see the vision, then you get down, then you realize, hey, I got a choice to get back up again,
Right.
And I think as entrepreneurs, we forget that, or we don't realize it in the moment. And as people, so that's interesting and that's wonderful. You designed a whole book. You wrote a whole book about this. Is this your second book, or this is your second book?
It'll be my third published book. So I've got two that are already published, and then this will be my third formally published book. I've written quite a few other things, but so I'm in the process right now of gathering all that is necessary where the book is concerned. And so my goal is to get that completely done this year. That's what I'm working towards. So beginning that, really getting that set and in place for that. But to your point, I think it's when we realize that we have choices, like you were saying, that you had that thought of, even if someone isn't as excited as about what I'm passionate about, we have a choice of how we receive that, or even if we receive it at all.
Yeah.
Right? Sometimes we just have to say that not everyone's going to be excited about what we're passionate about, and that's okay. Our job is to find the people that are, and to and we get to meet a whole lot of people in the process, and maybe some even just are moved a little
Yes.
by our passion for what we do.
Oh wow, that. I love how you said a little. I had to learn that in my entrepreneurial journey that I don't need to just help people build $1 million business, right? I just need to help them get 1% closer
That's
their immediate goal,
right.
and that was a really hard thing for me to realize because I see so much potential in people. And so man, I'm definitely going to read your book, and that's why I love talking to you, and watching your videos. And you bring so much, not only just knowledge but positivity and love with that knowledge. It really portrays through the way you speak, the way you interact with people. So I'm really blessed to have to know you in my life on a personal and business level. So
I was trying to remember how it was that we were originally connected, but I enjoy our conversations, and I think the fact that we do share a common desire to help people
yes.
grow, to help, that we see potential and we want to be part of developing that potential, even though sometimes we may see it more than they see it,
Oh
and
yes.
and therein lies a challenge in and of itself.
Yes.
But I remember coaching. I coached a dance team for 7 years, back early in my teaching career, and I remember saying to people that I would get them at 14, graduate them at 18, and my desire was by the time they walked across that stage to get their diploma, that the time they spent on my dance team that I coached, that they were better because of it. And
Mm,
better can be defined in a whole lot of ways.
yes.
And some of them, even tell me to this day, 20 plus years away, that they still remember things that they were taught, or they learned, or they got from that season of being on that dance team. So it is just a matter of, we have to be okay with just a little
Yes.
sometimes.
Yes. Oh my gosh, that was one of my hard things. Because and then you go through these seasons to where you're going through the same mistakes over and over and over again, and then when it's finally revealed to you what's going on, it was something that you were not even paying attention to. Like you just said, I was thinking like, why are my clients okay? We're doing this for them. We're doing. Why are they not being successful? And it's like, you can't run their business for them.
Right.
You know,
I
like
mean, yeah.
you're
As a
taking on too
coach,
much responsibility. Yes.
yeah, it's true.
So,
As because really we operate in similar ways, right? Like you are coaching people. It could be on the marketing, on the branding,
yeah.
on the whether it's a sales funnel you're creating for them, and I'm coaching on that sales and leadership specific place. So it could be a business scaling, it could be a sales team growing, whatever that looks like. And so we see people making similar mistakes, and I will say that this is something that even I've had to learn to work on, and I'm still working on it,
Mhm.
because I've spent so many years developing a strong positive and mental mindset, and that's the bent that I bring towards things, that I have to make sure that I'm also being part of exposing the pain around repeating the same mistakes, like in the coaching relationship, so that I'm not just saying it's going to be okay, it's going to be okay. And we're neglecting to really focus on what has you in this not so great place to begin with, or why are
Mhm.
we back in this not so great place. And so that's something that it's not easy for me to, what I like to say is, expose the pain and sit in it with them, in order for them to have an opportunity to actually shift and make a change so that they can get better.
Man, that's so powerful. What you just talked about as far as pain. You have to go through. Like I think we spend so much of our time, especially in entrepreneurship, trying to avoid pain. We did, it's like something that's uncomfortable. You don't want to do, but really, even in our body, even in the world, it's just letting you know what something is wrong. Um, but we just spend so much time trying to get back to that comfortable, we don't realize we have to actually go through that pain. So, man, I can.
I have a
Yeah.
colleague. He has this approach to the idea of uncomfortable. And I love it. And I think it's appropriate here that, it's trying to get people to understand to make a decision not based on what's most comfortable, but to actually make decisions based on what is uncomfortable. Because when we
Mm,
are uncomfortable, normally it is because we are at the precipice of massive change, something that's going to really make us better, grow us by leaps and bounds, or break us out of a box that we've allowed ourselves to be trapped within. And really thinking, wow, discomfort is my friend, that, being uncomfortable and making choices and taking steps where I truly am uncomfortable. There's something incredibly powerful about that.
oh my gosh. And it was like we were created with that, right? It's amazing how none of us can avoid it, right?
Right.
And yet we still try to avoid it
Still try
in
to
a
avoid
sense.
it.
We
I
still,
mean, we all like our comfort. Let's just be real.
yes, we do.
We all like our comfort. I like my comfort. I'm sure you do as well. And yet it's in the pain that
Yeah.
real change is able, has the opportunity to take place if we allow it to do so.
Yes, you're right. We got to get out of our own way sometimes.
Yeah, for sure.
But also we need people like you, that can pinpoint, put a pinpoint on that. This is what really going on, because like I said earlier, I was spending so much time over here, over here, over here. When I finally realized, it was like 3 years later, and it's like, I should have been looking over here. And that's what, like what you bring, right? You don't have, and I think too, sometimes we're looking over here because we have an emotional tie to it.
Yes,
And
and it's
we're bringing,
hard to let it
yes,
go. It's hard to
we
let it
bring
go.
in someone we bring in someone like you who doesn't have that emotion tie. It's almost like you can see clearly, like, oh, this is the problem. You're like, and even then, I bet I would put money on you still get a lot of pushback, even though somebody reached out to you. You've already showed that you're worth. You already showed you can help them, and and they were just continue to look over that. How do you? Well, I guess you kind of said how you do that, but when you're talking to somebody in that sense and pointing that out, how do you go about? What is a process you go about helping them see clearly what you see?
Well, a big aspect is asking great questions. And
Oh, okay.
because what we like to say in the coaching world is people will believe some of what you say, 100% of what they say themselves.
Oh,
And the
wow.
only way for them to say it themselves is for me to ask questions that cause them to actually formulate their response. As they're verbalizing the response, they're hearing themselves. And
Mhm.
in hearing themselves, they have a greater opportunity to actually engage in what I like to call self realization. And so I predominantly only coach leaders. And one of the things that we always talk about is ask over tell. I could tell someone till I am blue in the face, and it will not necessarily bring about change in their life or their business. I can ask great questions, and in doing so, they get to work through the process themselves to be able to see what they otherwise could not see. And you are right. Even in doing that, there is still pushback when certain things are exposed.
Yes.
There oftentimes is still pushback. Like, case in point, I was recently speaking with someone who all but was telling me, I know I need to sign up for coaching. Like, I know I
Mhm.
need it. I haven't grown the way that I want to. I need the accountability. Like, they were listing out all the reasons why they should do coaching. And then what do I do? To do my job, I call them to a decision. Let's get you started, as let's say, a generic way of saying it. Well, I want to wait. I want to get to it. I'm thinking here. And so I asked, would Are there other places in your life where you tend to push off what you know you should do? Yes. So would you say that you tend to procrastinate? Yes. Right. So, so it's walking someone through, you see it, but you're asking them questions that help them to at least get closer, right, to
Mhm.
realizing what's really going on. And sometimes too, I will say, when you can ask questions and you see your clients like have that moment of clarity, that is one of the best things, because you know that in that moment you've played even a small role in what could be a massive shift in their ability to be as effective as they possibly could be.
Oh wow, that is a powerful testimony. To where we kind of linked up without, we didn't discuss that before we got on here. Uh, that's that's pretty amazing. Now you said you primarily deal with leaders. What is a leader? What is a leader to you? What defines a leader?
Well, I really believe that we have pigeonholed the word leader, way too much. Like, I tell people,
Mm,
everyone is a leader because we're all leading someone, be it in a
yes, I
positive
agree.
direction or a negative direction. Now, we have leaders with formal titles. Okay.
Mhm.
So in with the folks that I coach, I mean, they're primarily business owners, or they're sales managers or branch managers or leaders with a title. But even clients that do not have a formal title are leading in some capacity. And that's so I tend to take that view of leadership, that we're all leading. Let's lead well. And
Mhm.
actually, the first place that we should be leading well is leading ourselves well.
Okay.
Like, how we are showing up in the world, how we are leading ourselves, whether the things that are our priority, how we eat, what are we exercising, how we manage our time, or manage our money, whatever. We need to be leading our own selves well, because in doing that, we will in effect be leading positively the people who are in our preview, in our the path, that cross our paths.
Oh wow. You said some fighting words. People don't want to lead themselves, Elizabeth. Like they want to boss other people around. They don't want it turned on me like I'm the problem. Uh and I need to be a leader first. That's profound. And with me being married and my kids and then entrepreneurship, I really had to realize whenever something was going wrong that it was me. No matter if my wife did something or my kids did something, had to think, okay, like I was put here in this, I'm leading this family. So what went wrong? And that's a real hard pill to swallow. That's why I said that, man. Those are some fight words. People don't want to be held accountable. I love how you made everybody, where you put that kind of title on everybody too, because you're right, that is thrown around to where people lose that sense of, I do have a choice and I am leading somebody whether I want to or not. I've never heard that before, that
Well,
everybody's a leader.
and something that you said that really just kind of caught my attention, maybe it's possible that people aren't pursuing formal leadership roles, right, that come with a title, because they're not they're not leading their own selves well. And listen, we all, I don't say all, most of us recognize if we are not doing well in terms of our own lives, right?
Yeah.
If we're not leading our own selves well, most people have a recognition of that. And I think it's possible that it is one of the reasons why people shy away from stepping
Yeah.
forward to lead, because in their mind, if I cannot lead my own self well, what would make me think I can lead others well? And then on the flip side of that spectrum, we have the people who think they've got it all figured out and they want to lead, right?
Yeah.
And listen, I'm saying this as someone who was there. right? Like,
Oh,
I mean,
firsthand accountability, huh?
oh yes, I mean,
That's
I
good.
love to lead. Like when I was in high school, I tried out for drum major. Just ask my husband because we met in high school band.
Oh,
And it's not that I wasn't a good leader, but I had ego issues. I'm just laying it out there. And and there were aspects of my life where I definitely was not leading my own self well, and sometimes that shows up in ego when we try to lead other people. We want
yes.
to cover up our own inability to lead ourselves well by somehow over leading others, and in effect then we can create a wake of devastation and destruction in other people's lives because we're just trying to make up for our own failings. I mean, it took
Mhm.
me many years to really come to grips with I had this know-it-all mindset about me, and to really,
You?
oh yes, Christopher, yes. Um and but it's not like I woke up every day going, "Oh, I know it all,"
Nah,
right?
nah,
Like I didn't wake up that way, but I definitely was living my life that way. And
yes.
but I couldn't see it. I could not see it. Now, to my point of ask over tell, my husband tried to tell me that I was a know-it-all, right? And I would not hear it. That's a whole nother, like we could do a whole nother marriage podcast on that. But when I finally heard enough of how people were perceiving me, and I became open to hearing the truth, that is when everything changed. When I realized who I was in public was not the same as who
Mhm.
I was in private, and that had to change. And, because I was trying to project perfection, even though internally I knew I wasn't. And it reared its ugly head, and especially when I was leading people. So yes, that I know that we didn't necessarily intend to go down this path, but whoever listens to this podcast,
Yeah.
surely they need to hear that it does start with me. Like we have to lead our own selves well, and then we will end up being better leaders in the process of others.
Well, Melissa, I mean, I'm sorry, Elizabeth. I combined Mahusay and
It's
Elizabeth.
all it's all
Uh,
good.
uh, what are you talking about? This is the exact path we need to go down to, because with our podcast, we want to examine that mindset. Everybody talks about certain steps, but we don't examine, practical steps and really looking at you. I think this is one of the most. This is the first step of being a leader, and you're showing exactly how you can teach other leaders by you're being vulnerable. You're telling us exactly. No, this is exactly what we need right here. Talking about leadership in your own personal path. I believe that connects, because when I asked you about leader, I'm still blown away. You said everybody is a leader. That was pretty. Because you're right. A lot of people don't see
Yeah.
themselves as a leader, and you need to see yourself as a leader in some type of capacity, because there's somebody in your circle of influence that is looking up to you. I was told a long time ago by an older entrepreneur that there's always people, no matter what level you're on, there's people above you and there's people below you. I don't care if you just started entrepreneurship and you're thinking about starting a business and you haven't started. There are people that don't even believe, don't even have that thought, to come in their head to where they can even think about starting a business. So there's that, and that person below you in entrepreneurship. You at least have the
Yeah.
thought, and I thought that was really profound. And you kind of back that up with real world topics and the way you're talking about it. And you're someone who deals with quote unquote the real leaders of the world. So I thought that was pretty powerful to tie that in back to everybody to where they can see, because entrepreneurship is it's hard, and it's tough, but you got to start with yourself. And I think that's why I love it so much. But I'm going to walk into my leadership role, man. You got me motivated.
Well, and think about what would happen when our children at a young age, we're teaching them you're a leader. You're a leader
Yes.
first of yourself, and then you're a leader to those around you, to good behavior or bad behavior, good choices or
Yeah.
bad choices, to being attentive to the teacher or not being attentive to the teacher, right? I mean, it's amazing when we start thinking about everyone is a leader of some kind.
Yes.
It really does create, if we think about just the mind in and of itself from a scientific place, it starts at an early age developing the neural pathways for an individual. I am a leader,
Yeah.
first to myself, then to others. And the desire then is to help them cultivate thoughts and processes and systems of positive leadership, in the course of their journey. So to your point about, the fact that you do care about the business mind, that's why no matter where someone is, seeing themselves as a leader in here and now, leading themselves well, I believe it then opens the door for them to lead others even beyond what they probably thought was possible.
Oh, wow. That is, yeah, that's pretty mind blowing. This is why I love having you on the show. You're always opening up me to new experiences and just looking at stuff a different way. I mean, even your YouTube videos and the things that you're doing, it's just resonates with me in so many different levels. Man, and this is pretty powerful. And another thing, I like how you said how you don't put a good I guess condemnation on leadership. It could be bad leadership too.
That's
Most
correct.
people don't, when we're thinking about leadership, we're only thinking about good because we're not thinking about and from a personal standpoint, now that I think about it, it's because when I'm doing bad, I don't really want to lead somebody bad, but it doesn't matter what you want in that sense. You already are. So I didn't even think about leadership as a bad thing. That's wow.
Yeah. Well, what it does is I believe, puts a proper weight
Mm-hmm.
to what it means to lead. Because I mean, when you think of, Hitler was a leader. Okay.
Yes. Oh my
He
gosh. Yes.
led in an incredibly negative fashion that led to millions of deaths, right? Or you can think of, leaders like George Washington that led to the founding of a country. And he was so beloved by the soldiers that followed him, and then later to become the president. And, so we're leading, but I think that we oftentimes, because we pigeonhole it or we put it into a box, that it does not carry the true weight that it needs to carry. And then as a result, it's easy to, I guess, hide either from the fact that we're leading one way or the other. But I think it's important. It's important to give it the proper weight that it is,
Yeah.
that we are leading all of the time, be it positive or negative.
Yeah. And there's only and I like that. I like that. Wow, that's pretty powerful. You're gonna have me thinking about that the whole day. And so when you're dealing with leaders and you're teaching them how to be better leaders or bringing out the leadership out of them, how long does the process? How long how long do you usually go through that process with people to where, or is it forever, or how does that kind of work?
That's a great question. So typically when we engage someone for coaching, we ask for a 12-month minimum engagement. And there's a reason
Okay.
behind that. One, because it allows us to coach someone through every season of a year. And
Mm,
I'm talking about business season, right? Highs and lows and all the challenges in between. But the reality is, from a brain research standpoint, that in order for someone to have transformation in their thinking, which then leads to transformation in their habits, it'll take on average around 260 days, which is about 9 months of a year, of
mhm.
consistently working towards something in order for it to be developed into a sustainable habit. Okay. The reason why we cycle and yo-yo and we kind of come in and out of fads, or I'm going to try this leadership thing, or I'm going to do this with my staff, and then people are right back around to who they are at their core, is because they didn't do it long enough with consistent accountability to develop a habit, to see positive change as a result. So in working with some of my best clients, they're in year 2, year 3 of coaching because they recognize there are still layers that have yet to be exposed that are going to help them be that much better as a leader. So to really, I would say for me, I see coaching for, especially for someone who holds a true title, that
Mhm.
coaching should be ongoing because all of us are going to have layers that will continually be exposed because there are certain pieces of who we are, our makeup, that we are not yet ready to face. We are not yet ready to change, which is why oftentimes they're hidden to us. And so that's one of the beauties of the coaching relationship is that over time you're peeling back those layers and working
Yeah.
through those aspects, and it gives people an opportunity to have change that is sustainable, if that makes sense.
No, you broke it down. Yeah, that was exactly what I was asking. And I love how you said through every seasons, you can see how they react: high, low, making money, not making money. They're, and I bet you go through that too. Oh, Elizabeth, I can't do it this month, blah, blah, blah. When you coached them through that, say, hey, we
Right.
got to be consistent. I could totally see how that could be effective. And that I love how you said the seasons, that we all go through that, especially early on. Now, do you deal with just seasoned entrepreneurs or sales teams, or can you use somebody who's brand new to it?
So we have 5 different coaching levels. So we have everything from the brand new entrepreneur starting a business. For example, there's a gal, her name is Gina. She's actually creating from the ground up a consultancy, and I mean, everything. She's building out everything.
Oh wow.
So from that, now she's not new to sales per se, but she's definitely new to entrepreneurship.
Hmm.
And so we have everything from that to the C-level executives, that are running million-dollar, billion-dollar companies that are in coaching as well. So we have a variety of ways in which we can engage people based on where they are in their business development.
Oh wow, meet them where they're at.
Right.
That's real. That's real interesting, and I'm glad y'all kind of didn't leave
Well,
the
that's
little guy
important.
out.
That's important to me. I mean, my husband and I have been small business owners for the last 23 years. We still, my husband's a photographer, and
Yeah,
and so
right.
we still have that business. It's a family owned business. We never looked to want to grow it to, a huge business, but small business owners are incredibly important to our
Oh yeah.
world. They provide services and products and connections within our communities that are incredibly important and needed. Not to mention,
Yes.
it's just a space where I want to see people thrive. Because Fred and I learned a lot of things. I'm sure you did as well, the hard way in this
Mhm.
entrepreneurial journey. I say to people, like, if my hands show the spacing of an entrepreneurial journey, okay, if people have a stick to itness about them, if they're tenacious, they can bridge this gap. Okay. It might
Mhm.
take them 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, but if they stick with it, they'll bridge the gap. What happens though is a lot of times people get 1 year in, 2 years in, 3 years in, and they quit because it's
Mhm.
hard and the gap still feels big. So what I try to say to people visually is that what coaching does is this: it
Yeah.
narrows the gap. Your ability to see things and make changes and add systems and develop skills can be done at a faster pace because you have someone else who's at a higher level than you
Mhm.
with different experience from you, giving you that fresh perspective and helping you to develop the things that will shorten the gap. And it's so incredibly powerful, the people who really grab hold of that and then engage it in the way that coaching is meant to be engaged.
Man, that was a great example. So visual. We can literally, oh man, that was a great example, and that's so true. Some people just grind, grind, grind. I knew this one painter. who did not want to. Actually, I met him in the grocery line. We started talking. He was a painter, and I told him what I did. Oh, we, web design and stuff like that. And he said, "Oh, well, I built my own site." And I was like, "Oh, that's cool, man. That's good. What platform did you use?" He said, "No." I said, "What platform did you use?" He said, "No, I learned how to code. I went back to learn how to code, and I coded my own website." And I was like, "How long did it take?" He said, "About 3 years." And I was like, I was like, man, that's you could have saved. You think about how many painting jobs that you lost.
As you were doing it on your own.
You're trying to go back and learn and code. And then I was kind of surprised he said code, because there's so many websites, like our website builder. You could have used a website builder. You don't even need to code today.
Oh, yeah. I mean, there are people who build websites in a day using an already established platform.
I know. And it was just, it kind of opened my eyes to, and it was an older gentleman too. I always grew up with this sense that older people knew so much, and they were just, and I realized that, man, he actually went through all this, was a painter for this many years, and then still didn't have the mindset to go and realize, hey, let me stay in my lane as a painter, right? And let me get a website up as fast as I can, because I need one. And it kind of opened my eyes. I didn't even try to sell him any services, because that was a red flag to me. But it just opened my eyes to where people will, like you just said, he fought through that. Yeah, he fought through all that, and he made it. But it's like, I know if you were coaching, say, hey, no, go get your website.
You got to delegate that.
Yeah, you got to delegate that. And that was one of I will forever remember that. And it really helped me see that, hey, I need to stay in my lane, especially if I have a big goal that's going to require more attention. I got to stay in my lane. And you're right, delegate that to somebody who's an expert in that field, even whatever the price is, because it's still, I'm pretty sure he lost out on a whole bunch of jobs trying to do that. I mean, that was pretty eye-opening. So that's why I said that example that you just gave was that's what it brought me back to. Like, man,
and full circle. Yeah. That example is an example of leading oneself well. A leader has to be willing to actually look at, what am I doing? Is this the best and highest use of my time? Or should I eliminate it, automate it, or delegate it?
Man.
And then if only I can do it as the leader, then I have to look at, should it be done right now, or can it be pushed off till a later time? But that's an example of a leader who is in a formal leadership titled role, has to lead their own selves well, so that they are saying yes to the highest and best use of their time. And what happens is, so many leaders say yes to way too many things, and then they do not have time for the most important things as a leader, which is oftentimes why companies don't grow at the rate that they could grow, because they're stuck in ego land. I got to do it myself. It's got to be me.
Man, you are preaching to me right now. Yeah, at least maybe I shouldn't have had you on. No, but no, I everything you're saying, I totally was.
You were tracking. You were tracking.
Oh my gosh! Isn't that what you? That's what you do. You bring it out. During this, man, this has been great. We haven't even plugged. Tell everybody how they can contact you. Give your information out. Tell them about your.
Okay, so obviously my website is at the bottom there on the ticker, ElizabethMahusay.swc.com. I would encourage people to go to iTunes or Spotify. My podcast is called Thinking That Matters, because I believe when you cultivate thinking that matters, you can live a life that matters. And that is incredibly important to me. And then, of course, my YouTube channel is based on my name, Elizabeth Mahusay. And there's a lot of different playlists there. And of course, I drop a Monday motivation every single Monday, and encourage people to subscribe to my YouTube channel and utilize that as a means. I call it that shot in the arm that gets you going on a Monday morning. in preparation for having an amazing week. So those are some of the primary ways that people can find me. And then, of course, my books are available on Amazon. So if anybody wanted to go and check those out, they can look on Amazon and search my name, and they'll find my books there.
Man, I love wisdom. Like I understand that I don't have to go through it myself, and y'all have to realize that what Elizabeth is doing, she's providing so much wisdom to where you don't have to go through everything yourself. You can learn from other people. And that's what, when I think of wisdom, that's what I think. I think of you and everything you provide. And then you also do it in a such a positive, love-oriented way. I mean, smiling. I mean, it's different from a lot of the coaches down there. I think the whole thing with being hard and cussing and doing, what I'm saying? Like I'm getting my point across, I'm tough type thing. And I guess there's an audience for that, right? There's an audience for that. But then there's also an audience that was looking and waiting for you. So somebody to be, bring that love and attention, but also have an expertise and a goal-oriented mindset. And that's everything that you touch. That brand is consistent. So you guys, y'all really need to take advantage of this and reach out to her about coaching. Like she said, she can help small entrepreneurs all the way to C levels and beyond, no matter your experience, and get your ego out of the way, and when we need help, we need to go for help. So, and I just thank you for being a part of this. And I can't wait to have Fred on the podcast too.
Yes.
When I got to meet him, he once again smiling, funny. And
be prepared. He's a funny guy. He's a funny guy. The two of you, I'm sure, are going to have a lot of laughs. That's for sure.
Oh man. Well, okay, cool. Thank you. I'm not really a funny person. I'm a boring person.
Whatever. That's not true. That's not true. I'm just going to call you out on that. You need to not own what you just said right there.
Okay, I won't. I'll take it away. I am a fun-loving person. There you
go. That's fun. Cool. Fun comes in many forms, just like leaders come in many forms.
You're right. Oh man. Yeah, this has been amazing, great, and I can't wait to have you on again. If we could do a series, and if I could be on some of your stuff, I'm always here for you. I got your back, and we're gonna spread the word about everything you do. Do you have any last words for our audience before you go?
I would just encourage the listener, when I think about the whole of what we've talked about today, that what you allow in your mind matters. That's Christopher's whole focus on this particular podcast is business minds. Yes. And so really guard your thinking. And it's not only guard your thinking, but it's also expand your thinking to beyond the borders of what we have been told are what titles are. In this case, we kind of delved in on the word leader because I believe that it really allows you to grow beyond, to grow into the best version of yourself as a result. So appreciate the opportunity to be on. Thank you. And for the attention of those who have listened.
Thank you. Once again, I thank the audience. Thank Elizabeth. Can't wait to have Fred. Until next time on the Business Minds podcast, be infinite.